Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Born from Sin. I'm your host, Danielle. I hope that you've been doing well this past couple of weeks. On today's episode, I decided to talk about relationships and a little bit about mourning as well. So, the past 2 weeks, as many of you know, my husband started working for a new company, Top Coat Epoxy. And although I'm used to him working out of town when he was doing epoxy flooring for another company here in Moncton, I find that readjusting to him being out of town has been a little complicated for me. So when he used to work at this other company, he was out of town like all the time. I very, very rarely seen my husband. He was on the road, all across New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, PEI. I had no problems with that. We had excellent communication and things went smoothly for the most part. Like, not that we didn't have our little bumps in the road, but for the most part, it went smoothly. Um, then I got used to him being home. So he was home like every day at supper time around 5:30 p.m. for about a year and a half working with Rush Check. And now that he is working with Top Coat Epoxy, he's back to traveling out of town again, which is fantastic. He gets an awesome opportunity to see the East Coast, and I gotta admit, I'm kind of jealous because he gets to go to places that I don't. I grew up here as a child, and I think that my husband has officially seen more of the East Coast than I have in my entire lifetime. So there's been a couple little kinks in the road with a new position, but again, it'll iron itself out in the long run, right? It's a brand new job and getting used to a brand new schedule and their how that company works. So again, fantastic company, very, very excited for my husband to be doing this. And it's so nice to see him come home happy again. Like, he's just so thrilled. He loves what he does. He's excellent at what he does. He is very top notch. And I'm going to keep bragging about him because he's just that good. And this opportunity opened new doors for him again. And with everything that's going on, eventually he's going to be um, the operation manager for all of New Brunswick. So again, the little roller coaster of bumps and bruises of communicating properly and getting back on track to make sure that there's no me sitting here worrying about, did you make it to the job site? I haven't heard from you yet. I get very I get a lot of anxiety over stuff like that, mostly because I know that he's a good driver, but there's so many crazy drivers out there. Oh my God. So with him, having a big truck and pulling a trailer, I get a little more concerned that he's arrived at his destination properly. Today actually happens to be one of those days. He left for Nova Scotia at 7 a.m. this morning. He should have been arriving around 10 a.m. And now it's close to 11 a.m. here because I'm pre-recording this. And yeah, I still haven't heard anything from him. The job was supposed to be like only 3 hours away. It's now going on 4 hours and I haven't heard anything. I have messaged him to, hey, are you at the site yet? Like, please update when you can. And now I just kind of sit here and wait. And that's the frustrating part for me because I just need to know that he's okay. Once I know he's okay, I can get on with my day. But I just feel like my whole day gets put on hold until I know that he's okay, and then I can just move forward. Um, so again, we're working through these bumps and bruises, I call them bumps and bruises. Because it's nothing major. It's just, again, it's something that we have to adapt to and get used to doing and communicating with each other a little bit more. So we'll get there. This past weekend was Mother's Day. And it was a very difficult Mother's Day for me. It was my first year without my mom, and it hit me really hard, like, really hard. I just couldn't bring myself to even be on Facebook for most of the day. I just there were so many Happy Mother's Day posts going on, and every time I seen one, it just made me cry because I lost my mom almost a year ago, and the first Mother's Day, birthday, Christmas, the first ones are always the hardest, and this Mother's Day really blew my mind. I literally got to the point where I was just so overwhelmed that I lashed out at my husband. Like, it's not something I do. And I lashed out at him, um, about communication, and we have to communicate more because it's a very big concern of mine. And after I was done, I don't know, venting or lashing or, lashing out at him, I sat back and I cried because I felt like a complete idiot for saying what I just said, but it was so heavy on my mind, and the emotions of not having my mom for that first Mother's Day was just my mind went in all kind of directions that I just couldn't even keep up with it. And after about half an hour, I looked at my husband and I apologized to him because he did not deserve the way that I spoke to him. Although my concerns were genuine, making sure that he gets to his job safely so that, I can have peace of mind knowing that he's not in a car accident or something like that. It's very important to me. But I could have definitely approached it in a better manner. But because my mind was just so all over the place with it being the first Mother's Day of me not having my mom, I just went completely off the deep end. And I'm very grateful for my husband because he just kind of sat there taking it. Like, not that he had to, by any means. He did not have to take that, but he did. And then he gave me my space and let me work things out. And that's when I apologized to him because he didn't deserve to be nagged at the way that I nagged at him. I was just very overwhelmed altogether. And sometimes it's very important that we recognize these red flags. It's very important that we own up to being wrong and apologizing to our spouses when we make these kinds of mistakes. And it's not that we mean to make these mistakes by any means. It's just a flood of of emotions that just hits you out of nowhere sometimes. Um, Growing up with a mother that was schizophrenic, everything was always all over the place. There was no rhyme or reason to anything. My brain was always very scattered trying to keep up with my mom and what was going to happen next. And as I grew older, my brain, unfortunately, is still scattered. I still have a lot of things that make no sense to me, things that were told to me that I still haven't quite pieced together yet. And one of these days, hopefully I will. And if not, well, then I'll have to accept that fact as well. But sometimes our brain just gets so overwhelmed with information or emotions that we just end up lashing out at others without even realizing what we're doing. And I have a very bad habit of doing that. I try my best not to. It's not very often that I get completely overwhelmed like I was on Sunday. But when it does happen, I sit back and I notice that I'm in the wrong. It's not that I didn't have the right to feel the way that I did because that's how I felt at that moment. But when you sit back and you break it all down and you really look at the full picture and you realize that maybe some of that frustration and anger that I have because of having to order Mother's Day flowers and sending them to his mom and not mine hurt me. For years, I have sent flowers to both my mother-in-law and my mom, and this year, I only sent them to my mother-in-law. And there's nothing wrong with that. She is an incredible woman by all means, but it hurt. It hurt hard. And I lashed out at my husband because I was hurt by that. Still am. Still bothers me. But so was that first one that hurts the most. And eventually, um, ordering flowers for my mother-in-law, not my mom, hopefully won't trigger this flood of emotions. But if it does, I'll know where the anger comes from. And being able to recognize that alone is very empowering. I've healed through so many different parts of my life that I'm able to really notice when I'm going into that dark hole that I don't need to be in. And it's a good thing because once you get caught in that trap and all you do is think negatively, eventually you're just going to keep sinking. You're going to feel like there's no way out. I used to feel like that a lot, especially in my younger years. Before I met my husband, it didn't matter what I did. I couldn't seem to find, you know, the right person to be with. They either cheated on me or they never stuck around or they had an issue that I had children already. And then I met my husband and he completely changed all of that for me. We've been together like 17 years now and the man has never cheated on me. He's never given me any reason to believe that he ever would. And I have to learn to appreciate those kinds of things and not, again, not let my mind wander into places that they don't need to be. So if you're struggling right now and you're having a hard time communicating how you feel, or you're having a hard time communicating with your spouse or your coworkers, whatever it is, sit back and really think about what you want to say before you say it. Have a little conversation like the person that you want to talk to is just already in front of you. And have that conversation over and over and over again until you feel that approaching said person, you're not going to be directing your anger at them. You're going to be frustrated and you're going to express your frustration, but without lashing out at them because whatever you're going through is not their fault. And they can be compassionate and understanding. But after a while, if, we continue to break down that communication and we continue to, you know, badger the other person and instead of venting to them, vent at them like it's their issue, like they're the ones that did something wrong. chances are that relationship is not going to last very long because I know if it was me, I would not want to be screamed and yelled at all the time. Who does? Nobody does. And it takes a really big person to sit there and just take that kind of verbal abuse from somebody. It takes a big person to understand that I'm trying to vent and not actually lash out at them. So I'm very, very thankful that my husband and I over the years have built up, that my husband and I have built up an amazing communication system that, again, still has little bumps and bruises in the road as we go along, but we always, always do our very best to communicate with each other and understand that if one person is angry, let them vent. Let them get what they need off their chest. And chances are they're not mad at you. They're just mad at whatever situation that they are in. And if it becomes a little too much, don't be afraid to say, okay, hang on a second here. I understand that you're going through what you're going through, and I'm sorry that you're going through that. And I wish there was something I could do to help you more. But the way that you're speaking to me, you're not venting to me about your issue. You are yelling at me. You are venting at me. So if we're going to continue this conversation, we need to calm down for a moment, think about what we're going to say, and then continue on with our conversation because one of the biggest things in any relationship that causes a relationship to go downhill the fastest is definitely no communication or miscommunication. So do yourself a favor and, it might sound crazy, but that's what I do. I literally have a conversation. If nobody's around, then I just have it out loud. You know what I mean? There's nobody's going to hear me anyway. Um, if I need to speak to my husband about something and he happens to be sitting there and I don't know exactly how to say it, I will literally repeat the conversation over and over and over again in my head until I know that I can personally say what I need to say, vent how I need to vent, and not come across as being ignorant or belittling him while I'm trying to have this conversation. Just something to keep in mind. Hope that helps you, and I'll see you in a couple weeks.